This podcast contains graphic adult language and content that you might be offended by. If you are sensitive to violence, drugs, murder, blood, bad accents, mutilation, or sex, poor story writing, frightening scenes, bad puns, or really just about anything else, then please turn this off right now.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Darling, the only ghoul in the house is you.
The brain is useless. We must find another brain.
Children of the night.
Whoever is bitten by a werewolf and lives becomes a werewolf himself.
I don't believe in ghosts. Let's just get that out of the way right now. I've always been one of those people who watches horror movies and just yells, "Leave the fucking house, dumbass!" Like, how hard is it to pack your shit and bounce when things start getting weird? That was before my house decided to gaslight me. It started small, the kind of stuff you barely notice unless you're already looking for it. The TV turning on by itself in the middle of the night, or the lights flickering like I was in a discount horror movie. The way my phone refused to stay charged, no matter how many new cords I bought. Annoying? Yes. Paranormal? No. Then there was the cat, Murder Mittens, aka my furry little demon. She's not what you would call a chill pet. She bites, she hisses, she's destroyed 2 TV remotes, and I'm 99% sure she only tolerates me because I'm the one who feeds her. But about a week ago, she started acting weird. And by weird, I mean like weirder than usual. One night I noticed that she was just sitting there in the hallway, staring at nothing. "Hey, Psycho!" I called from the couch, expecting her to flick her tail and go back to plotting my murder. She didn't move. She just kept staring. The fur on her back bristled, her ears flattened. Then, out of nowhere, she let out this low growl that made every hair on my body stand up. My first thought? Mouse. Great. Fucking fantastic. I don't do rodents. The only pest control I have is Murder Mittens, and she was currently too busy having an existential crisis. And then she hissed at nothing. I got up, half expecting to see a raccoon or a spider the size of my fist, but there was nothing there. Just the hallway. Just the empty space between my bedroom and the bathroom. And just the faintest, tiniest flicker of movement. I froze. My brain did a quick reboot. I swore I saw something. Not a shape, not a person. Just a shadow shifting at the edge of my vision. I turned my head instantly, and of course, nothing was there. The moment passed, the hallway was empty, the lights didn't flicker, the air didn't get cold. See? No ghosts here. You're fine. But then Murder Mittens bolted under the couch like a demon was about to punt her into another dimension. And that was fucking unsettling. That was the first time. I brushed it off. Cats are fucking weird. Maybe she was high on catnip. Maybe she saw a dust bunny and decided to have a mental breakdown about it. Either way, I convinced myself there was a normal explanation. Except that night, I went to bed and I kept feeling like something was standing in my doorway. I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, but it was just this feeling that it was there. A heavy, almost too intentional silence. The kind that makes your skin prickle and your heart beat just a little bit faster, even though you can't explain why. I stayed perfectly still, my covers too tight, too thick, like I was trapped under them. I turned over slowly, and nothing. I told myself, you're being paranoid, you watched too many scary YouTube videos before bed, stop being a pussy. And eventually, I fell asleep. But from that night on, I started noticing other things. First, it was the TV. One night, I was watching Housewives of New Jersey. Don't judge me, we all have our vices. When the screen suddenly went black. At first, I thought the power had gone out. But then, static. Not Netflix buffering, not a glitch. Pure old school horror movie static. And then the volume shot up. I fucking jumped. The TV was blasting static at full volume. I grabbed the remote, hitting every button, nothing worked. And then just as suddenly as it started, the screen went back to normal. Like nothing ever happened. I stared at the remote. The volume was still at 10. It wasn't just the TV. The next morning, my bedroom light flickered. Not in like a bulb is dying kind of way, but in a deliberate, slow, flick, flick, flick pattern, like it was Morse code or some shit. A few nights later, my bathroom mirror had a fucking smudge on it that wasn't there before. And when I say smudge, I mean like a handprint. A big one. Too big to be mine. My response? Nope, nope, nope. Big, fat, fucking nope. I grabbed a Clorox wipe and scrubbed that shit off like I was erasing a crime scene, and convinced myself that it was just my own handprint from the shower. Never mind that it was higher than a senator's socks and I couldn't comfortably reach it, and never mind it was facing the wrong way. It was about a week after the weird stuff started. I was walking through the house, going to the kitchen to grab a beer, and then I saw a shadow. Not just a flicker this time, not just like a feeling, a shape. Tall, thin, standing in the corner of my living room. I froze. It wasn't moving, it wasn't breathing, but it was there. And the second I turned my head, gone. Just like that, vanished. Like it was never fucking there. I stood for a full 30 seconds, heart pounding so hard I thought I was gonna puke. And then I did what any rational adult would do. I grabbed my beer, and I walked back to my room, and I shut the door. And I decided to pretend that it didn't happen. Because if I admitted something was wrong, if I acknowledged it, then that meant that it was real. And I just wasn't fucking ready for that. Okay, so I don't have a baby. That's an important detail to remember as we move forward. Because if you ever wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of a baby crying in your house, when you know for a fucking fact there isn't a baby anywhere in your life, how are you supposed to respond to that? It was 3 a.m. because of fucking course it was. That's the witching hour, right? That's when all the dumbass horror movie characters decide to go check out a noise in the basement. It took me a second to process it. My brain was still in sleep mode, trying to convince me that everything was fine, that it was just some weird outside noise or a cat screaming for no reason. And then I heard it again. A baby crying inside my house. I sat up, instantly fucking awake. My heart did this weird, panicked skipping beat thing like it was trying to decide if it should fight or just have a full-blown cardiac event. Now, there are plenty of logical explanations, right? Maybe a baby outside, maybe a neighbor. Except I don't have neighbors with babies. And this shit sounded inside. I sat there frozen, straining to hear where the sound was coming from. It was faint, like it was far away. Maybe from the hall, maybe from the living room. I didn't move. I just stared at my bedroom door like it owed me money. The crying lasted for 2 minutes, and then just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. I laid back down very deliberately facing the wall like a toddler who thought hiding under the blanket would protect them from the monsters. And eventually, I fell asleep. The next night, I convinced myself it was a fluke. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe I had dreamed it. Maybe I had a small stroke and nobody noticed. I went to bed fully expecting to sleep through the night. I was wrong. 3 a.m., the crying started again, only this time it was louder, closer. My stomach dropped. The night before, it sounded like it was down the hall. This time, it sounded like it was right outside my bedroom door. I I could feel my body lock up, this deep, primal fear crawling up my spine. My brain was screaming, "Do not open that door, you dumb bitch." So I didn't. Instead, I grabbed my phone and I turned on the voice recorder. I hit record. I laid there holding my breath, letting the audio pick up the eerie, wet wailing that was still echoing through my house. And then, just like before, it cut off abruptly. I waited. Nothing. Silence. I didn't move, didn't sleep, just laid there until the sun finally rose and I could pretend to be normal again. So, at this point, I should have just left, right? Packed a bag, hit the road, thrown a middle finger at whatever unholy shit had decided to move into my home. Yeah, that would have been smart. Instead, I did something really fucking stupid. I listened to the recording, the playback. And it's one thing to experience it in the moment, but it's a whole different level of terror when you hear it played back to you. I sat in my kitchen, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, listening to my own house betray me. At first, nothing, just dead silence. Then soft, distant wailing. Fucking hell. I really hadn't imagined it. I skipped ahead. The crying got louder, clearer, closer. And then I heard something else. Not crying. Something wet. Something that sounded like breathing. I paused the audio. My stomach clenched, my mouth went dry. I hit play again. For a few seconds, it was just dead silence again. Then, a fucking whisper. Right next to my phone mic, like something was inside my room. I slammed the phone on the counter so hard I thought I cracked it. My whole body went cold. I hadn't heard that last part the night before. It was only on the recording. Something had whispered to me while I was sleeping, and I never fucking heard it. That night, I didn't sleep. I tried. Oh, I tried so damn hard. I left all my lights on, played background noise, even had my dumbass cat on the bed like an emotional support gremlin. Didn't work, because exactly at 3 a.m., my entire body went ice cold. And I knew, before I even heard it, that the crying was back. It didn't start soft this time. It started loud, right outside my fucking door. I clamped my eyes shut, pulled the blankets over my head like I was 6 years old again. The crying didn't stop. And then I felt something watching me. Not just that weird paranoia feeling, this was different. Heavy. Suffocating. Like whatever was outside my door was inside my room now. And I could feel it at the foot of my bed. Standing there, watching me, breathing. I didn't move. I didn't dare acknowledge it. Because if I did, if I looked, I knew that I'd see something I wasn't supposed to see. So I stayed there, paralyzed, breathing as softly as I could. And eventually, the crying did stop. But something told me deep in my gut that whatever was in my house, it wasn't leaving. It was just waiting. At this point, my house wasn't just haunted. It was actively fucking with me. I started seeing things more clearly, more frequently. Before it was just flickers, shadows at the edge of my vision. But now I was getting details. It was a shape. Tall, too thin. It was the kind of thing you'd expect to see sketched into the background of a serial killer's notebook. I never saw its face. I never saw its eyes. But every time I caught a glimpse of it, I could feel my entire body just lock up like it was trying to self-destruct out of sheer terror. And every time, the second I turned my head, gone. It wasn't just in the corners of rooms anymore. It was getting closer. I'd be brushing my teeth, look up, and I'd see something just outside the bedroom door, like a head just peering around it, and then it would pull away quickly. I'd be on my couch watching TV, and out of the corner of my eye, something would be standing in the hallway. Never moving, never making a sound, just watching. Like it was waiting for me to acknowledge it. And I refused. I absolutely fucking refused. One night, after a week of this bullshit, I snapped. I'd had enough. The crying, the glimpses, the feeling of being watched every goddamn second I was home. I wasn't doing it anymore. So I did something stupid. I decided to catch it on camera. I set up my phone on my nightstand facing my bed, and at exactly 2:50 a.m., I hit record. And then I did what I always did. I laid there, pretending nothing was going to happen. And then at 3 a.m., on the dot, the crying started. Except now, it was in my fucking room. I felt my stomach twist itself into a knot of pure, unfiltered panic. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe too loud. But my phone was recording. The crying lasted for 5 minutes. And then it just stopped. No slow fade, no sniffles, just cut off. I waited until the sun came up before I even thought about moving. And then with my hands shaking like a goddamn earthquake, I grabbed my phone and hit play. At first, nothing. Just me laying there looking tense as hell. And then around the 3-minute mark I saw it. Not in the doorway, not in the hallway, in the room. Behind me. The first thing I saw was the eyes. Not normal eyes. Not human eyes. White. Too big. Too wide. No pupils, no irises, just solid fucking voids of white. Watching me. I scrubbed back and paused the frame. There it was. Standing at the foot of my bed. Tall, thin, wrong. Just watching me sleep. The worst part? The moment the camera focused on it, the screen glitched, the image distorted, and before the video cut to black, the very last thing I saw, it moved directly towards the camera and then nothing. I lost my fucking mind. I threw the phone across the room so hard it hit the wall. Nope. My entire body was vibrating with pure, undiluted terror. I need to get the fuck out. Right now. I didn't even pack a bag. I didn't even put on shoes. I grabbed my keys, I grabbed murder mittens, and bolted. Straight to the car, straight to a motel. I left my phone behind. Because whatever the fuck I recorded, I never wanted to see it again. I checked into a shitty-ass hotel on the outskirts of town, fully prepared to never step foot in my house again. The room smelled like cigarettes and broken dreams. The bed frame was harder than Chinese algebra. It didn't matter. I was out of that house and I was safe. Or so I fucking thought. I passed out, fully clothed, light on. But guess what happened at 3 a.m.? The crying. In the motel room. I sat straight up, heart hammering. No, this was impossible. The crying just didn't stay at the house, it followed me? I turned on the bedside lamp, chest tight with panic. Silence, no crying, nothing there. And then a whisper right behind me. You're mine. I should have kept running. The moment I heard that whisper in the motel room, I should have grabbed my cat, set the fucking building on fire for good measure, and moved to a different continent. But no, like a dumbass in a horror movie, I did what dumbasses do best. I went back home. And this wasn't bravery, this wasn't some kind of I'm gonna face my fears moment. This was pure, exhausted stupidity. I lasted 2 nights in the motel before I convinced myself that I had just imagined everything. sleep deprivation, stress. Maybe the mold in my bathroom was actually making me hallucinate. Yeah, sure. So with absolutely zero good reasoning, I grabbed what little stuff I had, grabbed my still traumatized cat, and drove back to the house. And at first, nothing happened. No crying, no flickers of movement, no horrifying pupilless eyes watching me from the corners. I almost let myself believe it was over. And then came the worst night of my life. I fell asleep fast, the kind of sleep that hits you like a truck. Then I woke up. Something was wrong. I felt trapped. My blankets were tight. They were tucked in too hard around my legs. My foot was wet. I groggily shifted, trying to pull my leg free when a pressure, squeezing, moving up my leg. I blinked in the darkness, still half asleep, still not fully processing what I was feeling, until I looked down, and that's when I saw it at the foot of my bed. It was swallowing me. I froze. My brain went into full emergency shutdown mode. The thing that had been watching me for weeks, waiting, lurking in corners of my house, it had me. Its jaw was unhinged, stretched wide like a fucking snake, pulling my foot deeper into its disgusting, slick, toothless mouth. It wasn't chewing, it was just slowly engulfing me, swallowing me whole. I opened my mouth to scream, and then it made that sound. The baby crying, but warped. The sound of a newborn baby choking mixed with something wet and hollow and starving. And that's when my brain fully broke. My body reacted before my brain did. I kicked hard, my foot shoved deeper into its throat before I yanked back, but its horrible, slick, rubbery flesh tightened around me. It didn't let go. Those pupilless white eyes stared right at me. There was no emotion, no rage, just waiting, like it expected me to give up, like it thought I wouldn't fight back. And that pissed me off. I grabbed the nearest object I could, my bedside lamp, and I swung that motherfucker like Babe Ruth at the World Series. The lamp shattered against its awful, stretched out face. It made a sickening, gagging wail, a noise so wet and wrong it felt like my soul tried to leave my body. And then it yanked, hard. My whole body lurched forward. It was pulling me into itself. I grabbed the headboard, clawed at my sheets. I could feel its throat, hot, tight, slick, sliding higher up my leg. I was going in, and I knew if it got past my knee, I wasn't coming back. So I did the only thing I could think of. I punched that fucker in the eye with everything I had, and the moment my fist connected with that awful bulging white void, it screamed. The moment it let go, I scrambled backwards so fast I fell off my bed. I hit the floor, panting, heart slamming, legs still slick with its fucking saliva. When I looked up, it was scurrying backward like a fucking spider. Its jaw was still unhinged, still stretched, still open. It let out one last broken wail. And then it melted into the darkness. It vanished. What the fuck just happened? I sat there for a long time just breathing, trying to understand what the actual fuck did just happen. I was shaking, my legs still felt wrong, like something had been taken from inside it. I wanted to believe it was over, that it had given up. But as I sat there gasping, staring into that empty corner in my room, I heard one more thing. A whisper. So close, it was like it was inside my fucking head.
Not yet.
I sat on my bedroom floor, legs sprawled, blankets twisted around me like some half-assed attempt at a protective barrier. While the words, those awful, fucking whispered words, still echoed in my skull. Not yet. Not yet? Not fucking yet? Oh, fuck me sideways, it wasn't done. I spent the next hour in full-blown shock mode. My heart still hadn't figured out how to beat normally again. My leg felt wrong. Not just wet from whatever fucking saliva that thing left behind. Wrong on the inside. Like something had been scooped out. I refused to check. I didn't want to know. Instead, I grabbed the nearest, sharpest object I could find. A kitchen knife? No. A bat? No. A fucking fork. Because apparently my last 2 brain cells decided that was the best weapon available. And for the rest of the night, I sat there on my bed, clutching my dumbass fork, staring at the doorway, and waiting. But it never came back. The next morning, I should have left. Packed a bag, got in the car, drove until the GPS stopped working. But I didn't. I was running on 0 hours of sleep, blind panic and sheer fucking denial. And for some reason, when the sun finally came up, the house felt different. Like whatever was in there with me had left. I told myself maybe it's over. That night I didn't sleep because I refused to sleep. I sat in bed, lights on, laptop open, watching some mindless bullshit on YouTube while my cat, who by the way, was still refusing to sleep in the same room as me, hid under the couch. And when 3 a.m. hit, I braced myself. I waited for the crying. I waited for the whispers. I waited for the thing to come slithering out of whatever fucked up pocket of reality it called home. For a while it was nothing. Nothing happened. No huge, horrible, pupilless eyes in the corner of the room, no flickers of movement or crying, and I almost let myself relax. Almost, until I felt it, breathing, directly behind me. I couldn't move, I couldn't blink, I couldn't fucking think. My laptop screen froze, the light in my room dimmed, the air was thick and heavy. It was like the entire house was holding its breath, like I was trapped inside something else. And then, in the stillness, right next to my fucking ear, a whisper. "You're mine." I spun around so quickly I almost snapped my own neck. And then I saw it. No shadows this time, no glimpses. It was just there, towering over my bed with its jaw hanging open. Unhinged like it was about to try swallowing me again. But worse, its eyes. They weren't white anymore. They were black. Black and filled with movement. Like wriggling worms were inside of them. Twisting and writhing. And then I realized something. It wasn't a haunting, it wasn't a ghost, it was something else. It's been watching me, waiting for me. And now, it wasn't waiting anymore. The moment I saw its eyes, something inside me snapped. Not in a dramatic, action movie kind of way. Not in an I'm gonna fight this thing kind of way. No, it just stopped. Stopped thinking. Stopped fighting. Because I knew I was already fucking gone. And that's when it lunged. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I gotta be honest, it kinda gave me the creeps. But until next time, have sweet dreams. I love you guys.